Welcome to the show, guys. We are back in the backyard here, and man, I just had to do a video on the whole Detroit Lions versus Green Bay game and the whole Jahmyr Gibbs versus Montgomery battle here, which I don't think it was much of a battle. Montgomery destroyed Gibbs when he talked about volume yesterday. So I'm in the backyard here, still pissed off about what happened yesterday. I want to talk about it, address it, unpack it all, talk about the situation, how I feel, Gibbs moving forward. I really want to just kind of dive into this conversation, and I want to make this interactive. So in the comments below, let me know what you guys think of the situation. Dive in. Do you think Gibbs is getting ripped off? I want to hear your feedback. I really want to unpack this, okay? Now, I'm just here in the backyard here. It's bright and early morning. You can see that the sun is rising over the fence here, but I wanted to connect with nature, get some fresh air, and hopefully you guys do that as well. Ground yourself, put your feet in some grass today, take some deep breaths. We're good, guys. It's one player. It's Jahmyr Gibbs. Again, people say, well, Joe, it's your fault. At the end of the day, man, this guy was coming off of the second round in all drafts, so everybody was suggesting him in the second round. I mean, I'm not trying to excuse myself because I was pushing him hard, but what happened yesterday was absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I've never, ever, I don't think I've been pissed off in fantasy throughout the years, but this one takes the cake. I mean, this is right up there with one of the biggest piss-offs of all time, okay? I remember a couple years ago, I had Ronald Jones endorse the brand, and he did a video for the Counselor brand. I ended up paying him, I don't know what the amount was at the time, and he endorsed the brand. This was a couple years ago. Ronald Jones, rookie year. He looked really good and dynamic in college. He was, I think, a third-round pick or something, give or take. Correct me if I'm wrong. And, he came in. Peyton Barber was the only other running back there. And Peyton Barber was stealing all the volume. I was like, Peyton Barber sucks. And Peyton Barber was averaging like 2-3 yards per carry. It was absolutely ridiculous. And at that time, I was really pissed off. And I was like, okay. Well, then I learned, running backs drafted that aren't in the first round typically don't come in and necessarily take over the job. But through the years, I've seen running backs take over the job that were first-round picks. I mean, Zeke Elliott came right out of college, and I can't remember who the running back was at the time. I think it was like DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray, or whoever it was coming off a 1,000-yard rushing season. And in comes Zeke Elliott, unproven, was drafted the first round, comes in, takes the job. So you see it. Saquon Barkley, very high draft capital, came in, took the job, guys. Took the job immediately, okay, with the Giants. So when you invest high draft capital in a guy, okay, they are supposed to be immediate starters. And then when you're in a situation where a running back is sharing a backfield, that running back has done nothing for years. Now, if you guys remember, I was a big David Montgomery advocate. I was like, yeah, David Montgomery, he's the man. And I drafted him on my teams, but Matt Nagy at the time, or Nagy, whatever the heck his name was in Chicago, was using Tariq Cohen way too much. And Tariq Cohen happens to be a pass-catching back. And Montgomery would come out, and he'd have a decent run, and then Tariq Cohen would come in. And Montgomery never really hit his stride. He got injured, banged up, this and that. So I gave up on Montgomery because he sucked. Years to wow us were not wowed. And that saying holds true for many cases. Now, he comes to the Lions, and we had a situation last year where, Swift was injury-prone. He didn't get a lot of work, and Williams, who wasn't that good, was getting all the work. Now, Williams was never a great back either, Jamal Williams, but he did well last year in the offensive scheme they have running with the Lions. So I was like, okay, well, Montgomery isn't that good, and then you have Jahmyr Gibbs. If you watch a tape on Jahmyr Gibbs, guys, the guy is ultra-explosive. He's amazing. And then you have the Lions move up, and they pick him, as a top 8 pick? I mean, this guy was drafted in the first round, okay? At worst case scenario, and I'm talking worst, you're looking at a 50-50 split here between these guys. 50-50 minimum. But I was thinking 70-30 in the favor of Gibbs. Okay, so, we see the situation. Now, David Montgomery had 32 attempts, 121 yards. I think he had 2 receptions for 20 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. I think Gibbs had 8 attempts, okay? 8 attempts to 32, to put it in context. So at worst case scenario going into the season, Gibbs should have had a 50-50. That's a worst case, but I think it was 70-30 in the favor of Gibbs. I'm not the only one that felt that way because Gibbs was high on everybody's roster. So when you look at the situation and the way that it is now, it's nauseating, it's disgusting, it's disrespectful. And, from a joking standpoint, I don't think it's a joke. You got to assume here, guys. I'm not saying this happened, but Gibbs must have slammed Dan Campbell's wife or something like that, but the way that it's going, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Let me tell you why it's ridiculous. Gibbs was drafted in the first round, number 1. He's young. He's dynamic. Not only that, guys, this is very, very important. He does better when he runs. Now, I had to come outside here. There's a lot of neighbors around here. I didn't want to yell. I had to keep it outside to keep it cool. I want to keep this episode cool and level-headed and non-biased, okay? Now, David Montgomery is not, what is he averaging? 3-4 yards per carry? Like, he's not doing as good. You got Gibbs averaging over 5 yards per carry in the touches that he's touching it. So when Gibbs touches it, he's converted a bunch of first downs yesterday. He's catching the ball in the backfield. He can run in the middle, not necessarily he's not as tough as a runner as Montgomery down the middle. So when you look at the situation, Gibbs is the better back. Montgomery, years to while, we're not well. Gibbs is better. So what is the problem here? I mean, again, logically, if you invest a first-round capital in a guy, you use him. We saw it with Zeke. Like I just said, I gave you examples. Zeke, Saquon, other guys in the past. Right? What is the problem? So the only logical explanation is that Jahmyr Gibbs must have banged somebody on the coach's staff, maybe the owner's wife. I don't know. But there's got to be a reason. They must hate on Gibbs. Now, you could say, well, they're easing him in, this and that. Well, no. You want to win games. Now you're saying, well, they're winning games with Montgomery. Yeah, but you're benching the guy you're benching your first overall pick, who's doing better every time he touches the ball than Montgomery. Now, people say, well, Joe, you shouldn't wish injuries on anybody, but a hamstring injury to Montgomery wouldn't be so bad right now. Now, you could quote me, and I don't care. You could take that out of the house, because everybody's feeling that right now. Now, I don't wish catastrophic injury. I don't wish broken bones. I don't wish concussions. I don't wish that at all. But a hamstring is just a pulled muscle, guys. Get over it. I wouldn't mind a season-long hamstring injury for David Montgomery at this point, so that Jahmyr Gibbs gets in. But I just wanted to kind of unpack this, guys. I really wanted to unpack this. And for all the snowflakes that are upset about that, Joe wishes it's a hamstring injury. The guy's getting millions. Dude, if you pay me $6 million a year, I'll take a hamstring injury for free. Okay, I'll take an ankle. Hey, I'll take a broken knee for that matter for $6 million a year, dude. Come on. And he gets to sit on the bench. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't see Montgomery at this pace finishing the season. He already got hurt in week 2. I thought he was done for the season. Fortunately for him, that didn't happen. But either way, man, like, I've never, ever been pissed off this much that I was yesterday. And, again, I just had to, unpack it over, exhale a little bit, soak it in. But Gibbs, and moving forward, what do we do with Gibbs, man? I'm starting him. He's the RB1 in my mind. This is the hill I die on. This is really the hill I die on. I've got great players. I got Laporte. I got Tank Dells. I got Justin Herbert anchoring my team. I got top defense. I got Buffalo Bills. I got Eagles defense. I got good defenses, right? They're going to anchor my team. I'm going to get points. I'm not concerned. So if I get a 10-point game out of Gibbs, so be it. I'm starting him because he's the RB1. That it's set in my mind. I don't care. This one I'm going to be stubborn with. I'm going to be stubborn with this one. Mind you, I don't have a lot of better options because the running back position is completely dismantled. I got Byjan, I got Derrick Henry in the league. I got some RB depth. I'm good. But again, this is ridiculous. I've never seen anything like this ever. The fact that they're deliberately neglecting, deliberately benching the better running back should absolutely make you livid, okay? So that's my thoughts on it. It's ridiculous. Dan Campbell's, I don't want to curse on YouTube. I don't like to curse on YouTube. I like to keep this one a little bit more PG-13 here on YouTube. Yeah, but you guys clearly know how I feel about Dan Campbell. This is not a Gibbs problem. This is the coach is bitter that Gibbs must have banged the wife, and Montgomery was probably the one that figured this out and told the coach or something like that. That's how bad this is, man. 32 attempts to 8. Dude, to your first round pick. It doesn't make sense. And to wrap this up, guys, Montgomery will not finish the season. An injury will happen. Guaranteed. He can't maintain the pace. Years to wow us, we're not wowed. He's just not that good. He's a bruiser. He can get between the tackles. Another thing is, maybe they're just running Montgomery to the ground, using up that capital they spent on him, and just priming Gibbs. I mean, that's the optimistic way to look at it, but that's besides the fact. So if you got Gibbs, I'm continuing to start him. I really don't care. Injuries bound to happen for Montgomery, and I'll leave it at that. You guys heard my theory because nothing else logically makes sense in this situation. Jahmyr Gibbs possibly bagged Dan Campbell's wife or the owners or one of the offensive coordinators or something like that. Only logical reason, because Gibbs is far better than Montgomery. Those are my thoughts on this, guys. Love to get your feedback below. Want to make this interactive. Are you starting Gibbs moving forward? Are you pissed off? What do you think of the situation? It's crazy, isn't it? It's mind-boggling, but I want to unpack it. So is it game over for Gibbs? I'm going to say no. I think he's just getting started. Montgomery gets hurt, and they're going to use Gibbs. They have to if they want to win. He's the better back. Those are my thoughts. Maybe it's a little biased, but I'm pissed off. We'll talk soon, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I'm out.